What is that thing? Chapter 1. The Bellhop. April 13th, 1951. A man and his family drove in a Plymouth to a motel known as Motel Peakwood. The man's name was Marcus Holt. His daughter Bertha was always playing with her favorite doll, Marla, and his wife Sharon was hunched over his shoulder, trying to sleep as he drove along. As they drove up to the car park, he spotted a man dressed in red, with a scarlet cap waiting for them outside. This was the bellhop known as Ralph Kilroy. "Hello, sir. Ladies," he said charismatically. "My name is Kilroy, but if you wish, call me Ralph." He reached for the baggage. "Allow me." They went into the elevator, and the operator shouted, "What floor?" Ralph held up 2 fingers. Going up," and soon they settled down for the evening. But Marcus soon felt as if something was amiss. Chapter 2. The Thump. Marcus switched off the lamp, and no sooner did he get under the blanket, he heard a loud but rhythmic thumping sound outside. He ran to the window and saw a moving circle of flames dancing underneath the stars on the desert horizon. He stared, eyes like mothballs, when he saw an upside-down cross glowing in the middle. The chanting grew louder and louder until he could not stand it any longer. He ran to the door, but the door was locked. He went to the desk in front of his bed and tried to call, but the wires had been soldered clean out of their shell and cut, almost as if with surgical precision. He turned on the light and everything stopped. The silence was deafening. He didn't dare go to sleep after what he had just witnessed. The next morning, Marcus heard a knock on the door, which, as it turned out, was room service. His food he had was eggs, ham, and a jet-black cup of coffee. No sugar. He asked the maid, Edith Rosenthal, if she had ever heard any chanting outside or seen any circles of fire that night. She paused, almost as if to ponder something, then sighed gravely. Chapter 3. A Strange Encounter. The Motel Peakwood has seen many a visitor come and go, Edith sighed. I just thought those fellas would have learned sense in the afterlife. What do you mean? Asked Bertha curiously. Go on playing, kid, said Marcus to his long-eyed daughter. This doesn't concern you. Yes, Daddy. And she continued playing. I wouldn't dare tell the story. I don't want to. I just don't want to. That's nonsense, he said. Go on then. Tell me. Fine. I remember back in 1933 when I started working as a maid for this hotel. I was only 20 at that time, just trying to make ends meet part-time. But these crazy teenage boys came into the hotel one Christmas afternoon, and soon a party started across the street in that vacant lot out there every now and then, she said. But it wasn't any old evening party Oh no. They were allegedly eating the hearts out of the kidnapped staff that they dragged across the road. This place was once full of life in those days, until those boys came along. But one night, they turned on each other and started to beat each other to bits one night. And the next night, they went out to the vacant lot that I just mentioned and set up an upside-down cross and lit it on fire using gasoline and a match. That's when they set themselves alight, and as they burned, they danced in a circle, chanting unintelligibly, till one by one they fell to dust by sunrise. And since I told it, I'm next, she said bluntly, and scuttled away before anyone caught her. The lights all flashed as thunder roared across the plains that very instant. And then, with a surge, a whir, and a click, the lights were killed out. But that's not the only thing that would end up killed that day. Chapter 4. A Gruesome Discovery. It was fortunate that Marcus had a flashlight, because he knew this time he really needed it. He clicked it on, and heard the unintelligible chanting that he heard that same night again, as the air grew icy and algid. He tripped over something slimy, and there, illuminated on the ground, was a beating heart, ripped clean out of some poor person. Having been a doctor before he retired, he knew this couldn't have been possible. And yet, when he turned back, he saw the burnt-out shell of a maid. It was Edith, burnt to a tar-black ash, a mere shell of who she once was. Then he heard his daughter Bertha scream from the elevator, "Help! Daddy!" Her muffled cries drowned out by the distorted chanting of the spirits of the moon. He rushed down the steps, only to see Ralph in the kitchen, holding a knife to his daughter's neck, a mere shell of his former self himself, a demonized beast of a man. His wife was bound to a table, with candles lit in a circle all around her on the floor, in the shape of a circle. "You want her?" he croaked in a raspy and ghoulish otherworldly tone. "Then sell your soul, and they are yours forever. In hell." He saw a bucket of water next to him, and poured it onto the hell fiend. "Kill this, Roy!" It howled in agony and dropped the knife. Marcus then picked it up and cut his wife loose, setting her free. They burst out the front doors of the hotel and ran as fast as they could along the side of the road in the desert plains. As the motel burst into the ground in a plume of dust, soot, and smoke. Luckily, they saw a bus stop just a few miles down. And they told the bus driver, "Get us to a hospital, now!" The bus driver wasted no time and hurried off into the stormy gray abyss beyond. They stopped in Phoenix, Arizona, and got some well-needed treatment at the hospital. They soon forgot about the whole affair, but it wasn't easy. They flew to the Bahamas in 1969 and lived a happy life all the rest of their days. However, nobody, not even the bravest of locals in the area, will ever tell you what went down in this area when you pass by the ruins where the motel once stood. If you ask, "What is that thing?" they won't even tell you. they'll just walk away. So don't ask, because you might be next. The end.